Okay, the time has come, part 4. As you can see, we're not standing outside by the truck. I am actually done with it now, which feels great to be able to say. And it is officially on the market. If you somehow put yourself through the torture of watching my first 3 videos, you might have caught that I planned to get about $6,500 for this truck. I'm in it for $4,500. Plus the cost of some light detailing supplies, which is pretty negligible, so I'm not really gonna include it this time around. It's pretty usual for me to put about $200 or $300 into a vehicle, sometimes more, just depending on what that kind of spending might need and how much potential profit I'm gonna have afterwards. That was kind of the allure of this truck, is that it just didn't need anything. It really wasn't too ugly to begin with. It was just kind of underpriced for what it is. And I was the lucky recipient who found it in time. Now this is a little bit more priced for the market of what these truly do go for, with the 4x4 and the bigger V6 and the extended cab. I had a 2002 Ranger that was an FX4 level 2, which was the highest trim. It was in fairly similar condition with similar miles, a little bit more. And I was able to sell that one for about $9,000. So this being a more basic truck that doesn't really need anything, I feel like about 7,000 is kind of the high end of the market of what I would expect here. But again, I expect to get worked down a little bit and to have a fast sale at about 6,500. So I went and took some pictures, and I focused on this first one as my thumbnail photo because I thought it was a kind of an attractive picture. The contrast of the white with the restored headlights, the shiny tires, and then the beautiful mountain backdrop. I thought that showed pretty well. So I chose to use this for my first picture. And then I went ahead and just did a walk around of it, tailgate up, tailgate down, to show it from all angles. And the reason I do this is because I don't want to go through and post every little flaw. That's kind of a stupid thing to do that's just gonna lose you money, especially on an older car, because people do expect to have some flaws. And it's kind of on them to look through the pictures and be able to see those. I'm not hiding anything, but I'm also not focusing on anything. Now you'll see I'm going through the pictures here and I started getting ahead of myself. But after the exterior shots, I wanted to showcase the clean interior and just to give kind of a full comprehensive picture of the truck. So from this, you could tell it's an automatic transmission. You can see the seat covers on there and kind of get a sense that this is a basic truck. But really what I want to show here is that there's nothing gross going on here. There's nothing broken or anything like that. So you can see the spots where the paint is coming off here. Again, I'm not trying to hide anything, but I'm not trying to showcase it either. If it makes it in a picture, it makes it in a picture. This one here to show the Bluetooth stereo. If you look closely, you can see that there is AC equipped on this. I know we're all used to seeing that, but on a very, very basic work truck like this, AC actually is an option. But what I want people to focus on is that 4-wheel drive selector. It doesn't necessarily look like a 4-wheel drive truck at first glance. In fact, with the color combination and the cheapo wheels and the black plastic bumpers, most of these were 2-wheel drive when you had them spec'd out like this. So it is kind of unique in this case, and I want to draw extra attention to it. I also wanted to get the light bar control panel in there. I think some people are going to think that's kind of cool. I don't think it's necessarily a huge selling point, but it's kind of a unique thing to this truck that I think that, you know, the right buyer might appreciate. I also want to show what it looks like on the dash with the car running. We can see that we're sitting at a good idle speed. It's almost up to full operating temperature. But the big thing is that I want people to see it's not lit up like a Christmas tree. There's no check engine lights. There's nothing there. So that gives people extra peace of mind. And it also confirms the miles. Double clicked on that when I meant to single click. But I also wanted to showcase how these tires look. And I did this kind of strategically. I pulled off on a dirt kind of mud lot just so the tread would get a little bit on it. And then you can see how deep that tread is and see that the tires are in good shape. Sometimes I might call out that they all match or take pictures to show that they match, but I think it's a little bit overkill for a cheap truck in this case. Again, one of the big selling points is that 4.0 liter V6. So I want to make sure that that is unmissable. And there it is. And then further things that add value is this new battery. You can see the date stamp on it, April of 2023. So people are going to know that that's $200 that they aren't going to have to spend this winter, and that this truck will always start up on them. One more time with the four-wheel drive just to make sure that that point is driven home. And then we're back to the top. So I took 17 pictures all in all. Now I was thorough to make sure that I filled in all the blanks on here because when people are searching for these, I want it to show up correctly. So I took the time to just make sure. If you've sold a car on Craigslist before, or if you've looked on Craigslist before, people are so lazy about this stuff, and they'll put a 4-cylinder when it's really a 6, or they'll forget to put 4-wheel drive or something like that. So I want to make sure that those kinds of questions here that people can search and toggle, I want to make sure that that's as correct as it can be. And while I won't read this whole ad here, what I want to portray is that I want to keep these sort of short and succinct. First paragraph is usually a really quick overview of the most important things. Just kind of calling out that this thing is straight, it's in good shape, and it has the things that people want. Then I cover, what's been worked on it, what works. If there was things that doesn't work, I might put that in there. In this case, there really isn't anything that doesn't. Here in Colorado, we require emissions. So as a seller, it is my responsibility to pass that on, and I have attained that passing emissions slip. It costs about $20 and it takes 5 minutes. I'm sorry, $25 and takes 5 minutes or so if there's not a huge line. But it's a good way to give your buyer every excuse to not back out or not have any sort of cognitive dissonance and reason to not buy it. Strategically, I also called out the Toyota Tacoma in this. And the reason for that is because people will search for Toyota Tacomas. People who are looking for compact 4x4 pickup trucks, the first thing they're going to look for is a Tacoma in most cases. So I wanted to have that included in here. I didn't go nuts and say S10, Dakota, Ridgeline, or whatever. I could have, and that might land with more hits, but I think that it looks so obvious as to what someone's doing at that point that this is a little bit more sly. I call out the Tacoma because that is the elephant in the room of reliable compact pickup trucks that you can just beat on and they just keep on working. That's really how I do see a Ford Ranger too. You might not go 400,000 miles, but you'll probably go 300,000 miles. And it's frankly even a little bit cheaper to own and maintain with a network of Ford dealers and the availability of parts and blah, blah, blah. Not to say that Tacomas are an expensive ownership experience, they're not. But a comparable Tacoma with this kind of miles, I would see as more of a $10,000 to $12,000 truck just off the cuff. So I think that for someone who's looking for something similar to that, $6,900 for a V6 4x4 pickup with an extended cab, that's a lot of truck for the money. So I've had this posted for a whopping 11 minutes at this point. Like I said, this is supposed to be a 24-hour flip. I will check in with you once I've had a few responses on it, and I bet you I will be talking about selling this truck as we get to tomorrow. All for now.